Thank you for your patience with this.
Can you
This
hear me
is
okay?
yes, I can hear you. Oh my God, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, I'm here.
Oh my goodness, this has been a mess. And then I'm like, okay, I could teach you from the phone, but no, the documents I need you to see are in the computer. The computer want to shut down. I'm like, this is a lot.
I think it was easier on my phone than on my laptop. That's where I went on.
You're right. And it's easier for me now to speak with you on the phone, but the only thing about it is the additional documents that I want to show you are in the, let's see,
On the
they're not
desktop version.
right. They're on the, let's see. Okay.
I'm trying to see if I can go back on the laptop.
No, you're fine. It's not for you to move around. It's for me.
Oh,
Yeah, you're fine. It's yeah, you're fine.
Recording in progress.
Uh-oh. Hold on, computer. Oh man, hold on. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
Recording in progress.
oh, we gotta.
Here we go.
Oh, hi Shay.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Little by little. Okay. All right. Here we go.
I'm on my laptop. Oh,
Thank you so much for your patience. It says I will not be defeated. I said, you know what? We're gonna have to. All right. Here we go. So I'm gonna have to get all my documents back again, but it's okay. I know where they are. I'll do it one by one. So I'm glad you got the replay because I'm going to give you so much information.
yes, I did.
Um, so that's good. Okay. All right. So this is recording. We're good. All right. So I'm going to put you, make sure you mute you for right now. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. I can stop. If you really need me to answer it, and we're good to go. All right. So this is policy and paperwork, and this is for the cleaning business. So me, I'm Coach Shay of the Clean University. So I am with Clean University and the Cleaning Business Group. So we are 30,000 strong cleaning professionals just out here trying to make a difference. I love this industry. I've been in the industry for 23 years. I now have a couple locations, a small business center called Business 911. I teach at Clean University. I love the cleaning profession. That's my thing. So we're going to talk about 3 main systems of things that we're going to cover. This is about policy. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is about policy. Mainly what we need as far as the paperwork, legitimacy of our business, the stuff that we really, really need to have, the stuff that we need to cover just to make sure that our business is covered, that we're not out here, especially if you don't have the proper insurance. Sometimes you can't afford enough insurance. We can't afford all the insurance depending on the areas that we're working in. It all depends on what your industry. So we're going to talk about, a lot of this covers residential and commercial. It doesn't make a difference either or. These same policies apply for either industry. So that's why this right here is not going to be industry specific, mainly only if we're coming to maybe when it comes to policy with the cleaning business and the contracts with the commercial business. Some of those are different. But when it comes to like some of the basic systems and policies, a lot of them are the same. So when we're talking in-house policy, procedure, we're talking hours of operation, locations of service, departments and positions, payroll and financing, licensing, taxes and affiliates, your standard operating position, procedures, things like that. Now, when we're dealing with the client, you got your terms per service. You should have terms for everything that you do. Some kind of terms, limitations, some kind of restrictions, some kind of knowledge to where the beginning and where the ending is in every service that you provide. Steps of service and quality, your standard, what does your standard look like? That should be in writing. That should be something that whether you're doing it or somebody else is doing it, is getting duplicated over and over again. And the only way that we can do that is if we write it down. Conditions and limitations of contract, or even the purchase. So even if you're doing specials, where do they start and where do they end? If you're giving terms of pricing on residential and you're giving a flat rate of 75 per week and they go 3 weeks, does that price change? Because now you're back to deep cleaning. This is not now regular cleaning. You haven't been there in 3 weeks. So what would the terms of that contract be? So all of these are things that you need to have between you and your client. There has to be policy between you and your client. And then there has to be policy and procedure between you and staff. Even you are the staff. So even if you're a one-man show or you got staff and people working for you, you are the staff. So whether it's training from how to greet someone to what they should do and what they shouldn't do, to how they show up, all of that comes in the training, to their pay, to their wages, how they're going to get paid, when they're going to get paid, the human resources part of it, which is your onboarding, when you bring them on, what that process looks like. We're going to go over that. Standard operating procedures, and that is your day-to-day. So we're going to look at what one of those looks like as far as what does it take to operate day-to-day. If somebody had to step in your shoes, what would their tasks be from when they started in the morning or in the afternoon or when they walked into a job to when they walked out and considered themselves finished. So that is what you want to make sure that you put in play for your business, procedures, handbooks, things like that. So these are things that we want to make sure that we look at when we're looking at business, right? In-house policy, in-house procedure, what is next for our business. We want to make sure we look at all of our policies, especially hours of operation. To me, that's the biggest thing. A lot of business owners will say, I work anytime, I'm always open, but you're not actually strategy having the back end hours, because I have back end hours. I have hours that are strictly for web design, changes, for me to deal with policy, for me to update payroll, for me to, work on just different things on the back end that when can't do when I'm serving a client. So, and then we have hours that we are open to filling and making sure that we are fully booked. So our regular booked hours may only be 4 days out the week and every other weekend. You know, depending on what you have on, you set your hours to strictly be a certain hours that you know that you want to fill with clients. But you have to make sure that those are your operating hours. Those are not hours that you're now off at dinner, you're now over here, you're now over there. They have to be operating hours. And if you're not somewhere actually servicing clients, then you're maybe in the office posting on social media, making phone calls, out beating the pavement with flyers, whatever that looks like in your world to get clients, then that is still a day of operation for you. So when we're strategic, we make more money, but we have to have boundaries and operating hours. That's the only way we can really be successful. And if you have a job and you're saying, okay, I want to give these people their job back, you got to have something strategic where your business pushes your job out the way. So if you have to have hours that you know that you're replacing, where you have no more time left, but you got to have hours that you're operating. And know that if you have weekends and you're doing weekends for clients and you say, okay, well, this is extra, or after 10 o'clock is extra, then you know because you have hours. Things are not random. You cannot pull up at certain stores after 10, 12 o'clock saying, I just need some milk, because if they're closed, they're closed. They have hours. You should know what departments are in your business. So if you operate and you have, you say, I'm a manager and I have someone who is the supervisor, or I'm operating as a supervisor, or, you know, I want to eventually put someone as in training, or I need to have a finance department, or I need to be able to have a manager. Whatever these departments are required in your business, you need to know what those are, even if you're the only one wearing those hats in those jobs. You should have departments. You should have spaces where things are delegated to, even if they are just you. So even if you are your own human resources, your own marketing and finance, your own staff, then you should still have things that go in places behind each one of these doing their task. But it takes you to actually know what each one of those tasks are. And that takes you to actually sit down and think about what is required to get the job done. And that starts with you writing things down. So, and that is why that is what is called your standard operating procedure. That is really what it takes to run your day-to-day operations of your job. You want to have every business, successful business, wants to have standard operating procedures, because that is when you get up, someone can sit down and keep the job running. If you don't, then when you stop, the business stops. And that's not what we want. Payroll and financing, we're going to talk about that, how you're going to pay someone, whether, you know, you're going to do regular checks, you know, what that process and policy is. If you're going to do a payroll service like ADP, Paychex, things like that, depending on what your processing is, you should have a system and policy and what that looks like. And that's all going to be wrapped up maybe into your human resources, into your onboarding, and we're going to go over that as well. Your license and taxes, any of your affiliates, and your standard operating procedure. We got to get that procedure right. That word just keeps popping up different ways. So let's take a look at an actual SOP real quick. So this actual SOP is actually not for, it's for a mail department. Now I have a mail department business. Now this is so many things going on within this business. We just start with beginning of the day, just a few things that they have to do, from separating the mail. We also make sure that they know where to go for stuff, emails, what we need them to do, where they can find information. to, in the beginning, just the type of plan. So the first page is just the beginner stuff, your beginner's tasks of that department, right? Maybe what that department sells, that department's general email information or contact information or corresponding information for that department. Now, for me, this is all access links that this particular department uses, because they use links for cancellation, registration, subscription. So I need all those links in one space. And then we go into policy of everything that we do, from our late fees to our reinstate fees. And it tells you, the policy of it, fee charged, when it's waived, send email, kind of what to do, if these things arise, from opening a client to all the steps. If they pay in person, when they provide an ID, if I didn't get the ID, if they paid online, if we have to close them out, if they close themselves out, because remember, there's always steps to everything that you're going to do. And you want to make sure that whatever somebody is doing, that they're duplicating it the same way over and over again. So whether they're getting a cleaning person, like a new cleaning person for you, and if you send them a welcome email and you do a walkthrough, and after you do a walkthrough, if you create a profile for them, and then you put somebody on the job, and then they go through, and after that they do whatever your process of standard is for your cleaning business, then that should be written down for somebody to follow. From transferring an account to a third party, to a client reinstating, that's somebody coming back, to somebody picking up mail, to forwarding mail, to scanning mail. Everything has a process and everything has an explanation. So I want someone to be able to stand in that seat and get the job done, even if I don't show up, because that's what every department has to have. So if you have marketing that you're doing every day for your business, posting your stuff on Facebook, Instagram, things like that, and you saying, I'm going to Canva and I'm making this, and I'm now promoting about commercial cleaning, and I'm now promoting about office cleaning, and I'm now promoting about this, you need to actually write that down. It might seem cumbersome, but these are standing operating procedures for your marketing department. And if you are then saying, okay, I have someone who is a scouter or a street team, and the street team has to go to neighborhoods who look alike, and they're going to residences, or they're going to office parks and businesses. And when they go in, they have to keep their hands to themselves, and they can't interrupt anyone, and they have to represent the business and say their name is XYZ, and give a business card, and ask, do they have a cleaner, and whatever their protocol is, it should be something that's written down for them to do, and actually write the name of where they went into. Whatever those steps is, if somebody is scouting for you, there should be steps. Nothing should be random when they're out there. That's the way you put teams out. When you put things together for people to follow. You have to think about the systems that you follow when you go working for people, on jobs and stuff. It's the same way with your business. You have to do the same thing. Now, when you are doing your first startup, you make sure you have all your licenses, your stuff from the Secretary of State, if you got any kind of LLCs or EINs, or your inks, depending on how you set your business up. That's all based on, where your business stands. You can do business without any of these things. It is definitely recommended, if nothing else, that you do have insurance. You want to get insurance paperwork and go to have a good insurance provider. Make sure that they have you covered $1 million, $2 million. It's a very small fee to get in coverage for insurance, but that varies based on your provider and your location. Some businesses will ask you to become a certificate holder for your insurance. And let's see, hold on, let's see. And what that means is they'll say, for instance, if you're doing, if you're cleaning for apartment complexes or something like that, they'll say to you, well, even some buildings, because some of my commercial contracts, this is some of the paperwork that you should have, you should, know that you may need to have. Some of them will say, I need you to be a certificate holder. They'll want your insurance policy that looks similar to this. Actually, it'll look like this. It's a declaration page. It kind of shows how much here, how much you have in coverage, the name of the policy, who's the carrier, the name of your insurance company, your business. But then at the very bottom, it says here, certificate holder, at the very, very bottom. And this is where the company will have their name put in this space. So if John Doe is your new client, John Doe will say, put my name, my address right here. And what that means for John Doe is that he gets notified if this policy is to ever cancel. That's the whole point of that. So he doesn't have any rights over the policy. It just lets him know that you're keeping up with your insurance as long as you're doing business with him. He doesn't have to worry about you at some point just keeping insurance to get started and then not keeping insurance after, you have the job. So some of those things will be asked of you to have those things when you do business with some of your bigger contracts. Your DUNS numbers for your credit for your business, and you might go to the Department of Revenue to start to get taxes taken out if you want to hire people. So now we'll talk about that when it comes to bringing people on from independent contractors to being employees and what that policies look like. We're going to talk about that as well. But before we even go into that, we got to know what our standard is, right? We got to know what our standard is, who we are as a business, like, why we in business, when we in business, all of that stuff. That has to be solidified, really, if nothing else, for us, just to make sure that we know what we do, knowing all of our services, because a lot of the businesses think one service. They have a list of one service, that's all they do. So if you let's look at this really quickly. So you might say, okay, I clean houses. This is if you're cleaning houses or buildings. So you may clean houses and say, okay, I just clean houses. But if we break down houses to all the different things that we could do in a home, we now clean windows, we do baseboards and doors, we can do maid services, we can do spring cleaning, we can do so many different things, appliance cleaning, we can do pantry organizing. There's so many different things a la carte that you can still do within the residential cleaning. That's why you should have a full list of your services. You as a business should have a full list of your services, that you should know what you sell, because that's going to help you better promote and make more money with your clients if you know what you sell. If you're just thinking one way and thinking cleaning service, just when I go in there and clean and that's it, and only time I go back, that's it, then you'll never make any more money than that. So you have to sell additional services a la carte with your clients. You got to always think about all the additional needs that they'll need, and some of the things in some of the areas where you'll need to subcontract and what that may look like. Because say if you're doing services with a subcontractor and have partnerships, what it looks like to actually have a partnership with, if you're in residential or commercial, with a lawn care company or with a pool cleaner or with the garage and, a garage installer, any business that works within your clients on a regular basis, plumbers, electricians, anything like that, especially the lawn care people that service these homes and stuff on a regular basis that you can make money off of, carpet cleaners, especially if you're cleaning and you're doing a turnkey for a move in, move out, or something like that, and they ask you, well, do you do carpet cleaning? Because some of the rooms have carpet, and if you can make money off of that relationship, then that's very helpful to you. So let's look at that really quickly as to what that will look like in a document for us to have that. Hold on. For us to actually have that document with the subcontractor, because there's an agreement that we need to have with the subcontractor as well. Before you hire. A lot of the subcontractors, what I've learned, I bring in a lot of the carpet cleaning guys and stuff like that, and I do 2 different type of agreements with them. I do one where either we're going to do a finder's fee and it's just a one flat rate, $25, $35 or whatever like that fee, or it can be a fee percentage based on the job. Now, sometimes the fee percentage, what I've learned, is because some of them look good. They have a truck, they got the papers and they look the job and everything like that. But when it comes time to saying, okay, well, let me see your insurance, let me see this, let me see that, they don't have any insurance. They don't have a lot of the paperwork, but they just looked good. So if I'm going to carry you and you're going to go into clients' homes and you don't have any paperwork, then I need to be able to get more money of the job. Because now for me, I'm taking more of a risk having you go to these people's jobs and you don't have any paperwork. I mean, you don't have any insurance, but I do. So now, instead of me getting $25 out of you or $30 out of you, I want 30% of the job. So they can price it however they need to price it, as long as I'm going to get my cut of the job. So this was a front of one of the sheets, but this doesn't have, I have to find the other one. This has the business, the services offered, any kind of specials that they have, their general pricing, the insurance, how many years they have been in business, a license number, the owner's name, employees, the areas of service. And why I need to have employees is because if they're sending other people out on their behalf, I need to know. You know what I mean? Because it's not just them. I don't want it to be if Bob showed up. I need to know who's going to my clients' homes. So I like to know if the names of their staff, the areas that they serve, because that helps if I'm promoting or if I'm serving those areas, to know what that finder's fee is, and if they're not insured, what that looks like. If they're not insured, and they agree not to solicit any services to my clients, and they're responsible for the work they perform, and any issues, that happen with them, that they're responsible, and they sign and things like that, and they have to provide me ID. But all of the vendors that work with me, I don't care if it's the carpet guy, I don't care if it's a painter, I don't care who it is, they have to fill out this form, or a subcontractor, because I need to know who I'm working with, what kind of agreement. We have to have some kind of an understanding, and they're working independently of you. You also have to put down here when the payment is due and the payment to the vendor or the subcontractor. Now, when it says vendor, that's if you're kind of like paying it out to somebody. Like, you're subbing work between you and someone else. The subcontractor, you have people who work independently, like a one-man show. And you might, be subcontractor, but some people are truly just vendors. I have a vendors list full of electricians, full of carpet cleaners, full of, people like that. And we have really tight agreements, but I make them bring paperwork to the table for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you look here on our website, on Clean as Can Be's website, on let me see about our team. It says become an affiliate. And I think that's for my the partners, for them to sign up, because I'm all about the yeah. So this is for my partners, which will be my carpet cleaners, my pool cleaners, pressure washers, car detail. And this is because I was started off doing residential, and it was always something that I was listening to my clients say something about. And it was, didn't want to miss the money. I seen these businesses move around me, and I wanted to be able to do business with them, to be able to make money with the clients I already had. So we created the affiliate program. Every good business has an affiliate program. You want to make money with other people. The requirements is licensed, insured, you got to have references. We will cover the insurance, but it's going to be, the pricing is going to be different. And then they have to go through a process of getting this done. So this is a part of you having policy for this particular area in business if you choose to make money with other people. That's, again, knowing what you do, who you are in business. What is your motto? If you have a motto, something that you stand for, or if you provide something different than anything else. My motto in business was, we're cleaning and organizing service. We're organizing. That was my niche. We niched down real hard to really promote in the beginning in the organization space. You may be fast, you may work weekends, you may be late night workers, just depending on what it is, but you have to have a niche. It needs to be in your messaging. Who is your client? You have to niche down. Everyone is not your client, but you can sell to a lot of people. You still need systems with that. Every good business schedules out 90 days. I schedule out 90 days, even promotion, from knowing what times of the year I should be marketing doctor's offices because flu season is going around. All of that comes into your policy of your marketing. So your marketing department knows this is what to do. This is the time that this is more lucrative. We're going to do hotels and we're going to do this at this time because people are out. You have to know when to serve the season as a business owner. And that's paying attention to how the consumer moves. That is all in your policy and procedure for your marketing department. It could be actually in your operating part of it. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but you need to know who your customer is because it may be different ones at different times of the year. It might be a lot of doctors at this point, where it might be a lot of daycare owners at this point, depending on the time of the year, the tools that you have in your arsenal with your cleaning business, the staff that you have available, your target might change. If you decide to be a one-man show, you might go just to windows and just say, okay, I'm just doing banks. It just depends on what you are doing, who your client is, but as long as you know and you can kind of pivot based on the times of the year, then you'll be fine. When do you sell? Know that, pay attention to the times of the year. So let's talk about in-house policy. Hours of operation, we talked about that. Locations of service, make sure you write down areas that you serve so that you know when to market and who to market. If you say I serve 3 counties around, then you should be marketing 3 different counties. You should be on your list of things that's in your marketing department to-dos. You should have those 3 counties on Facebook, those 3 counties in the hashtags in your Instagrams. all of those things should be set up based on the locations of service. Your marketing should be around that, and making sure that you have that. Making sure that you have your finance department. What policies go in play for your finance department? When is the time to pay your taxes? Right? Who's going to do your taxes at the end of the year? If you know, what is your balance sheets and your forecast for your business and things like that look like? So one of the things that I definitely recommend, and we do that, we have them for free, is a SCORE business plan. And they have business plan forecasts, things like that, or to actually use your Google. Google has sheets and they have templates. And if you look at the templates, they have templates that will help you with all of your stuff, your to-do list, assignment trackers, your annual budget here. So a lot of these tools are free that you can use for your business, because you need, that is a separate part of policy and procedure. Because if the policy is to keep up with your books every month, then that's a part of the procedure, is to make sure that our books stay kept up, or to know what we're making every month. So there has to be somewhere that these things are put, right? So if you're putting your budgeting inside a finance tracker, or inside this monthly budget, or inside of some tool somewhere that can really help you, calculate things, a QuickBooks or whatever, and get things done, then that needs to be a part of what you do for success. Because if you're a business who's going to try to get funding, grants, things like that, they're going to want to know that you know what your money looks like, that you know what's coming in, what's going out, that you can see how you're winning and how you can make money with what they're going to give you. So we want to make sure that we know if we need to pivot, if we're making money, if this was a good month or this was a bad month. Because a lot of times we, as solopreneurs, we may live off the business and we don't really see if the business is making money, because as it makes money, we just use it. So we have to really kind of, pay whatever you're going to pay yourselves, put that extra 30% or whatever into an account for your business, and really let the business do what it's supposed to do, and let it grow itself. But it has to be logged somewhere. So a part of your financing and you being able to put things somewhere when it comes to your finances, whether it's QuickBooks, whether there's a tool called Wave, things like that, that you can actually attach to your business's bank account that'll keep up, where you don't have to keep up with the receipts. Those would be good tools to kind of keep up with stuff for your business. Because again, it's still a part of, that's your finance department. So if you are still a one-man show, the one-man show got to keep up in the finance department, because you're the accounting department, right? You're the marketing department, you're the HR, you're the accounting department, and the accounting department has to still keep up with the accounting. So let's talk really quickly about your positions, because that's what we just talked about. You got to know what your positions are. Your positions is a part of being the accounting and finance department. It's a part of you being your HR and hiring and training. It's a part of you being management in your business. So it's a part of you being marketing. You need to write down really what the positions are in your business that's required to make your business run. Because it's going to take you, whether you're doing an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, some point, to put a little bit of time and love into each position. Because whether you're doing them alone or have some help, they all still have to have those things to run. It doesn't change whether you're doing it alone or whether you have a team in the beginning. They all still require the same thing. So you still need marketing for a business. It still needs a management. It still needs accounting. It still needs somebody to manage the money. It still needs all those things. So I need you to separate and write them down and then decide what each one of them needs to do, okay? That is your standard operating procedure. We looked over that. Excuse me 1 minute. We looked over that. Now we talked about affiliates and partnerships. So let's get into a little bit of human resources. It's a lot of bit of human resources because to me that's super significant. And I'm also, what I'm going to do, because you've been such amazing today, I'm going to give you this template, this human resource template, because this is something that you should be giving, that you should have for onboarding, right? And you can take this and just change the name and put your logo on it and things like that. But when you're bringing in staff and you first bring them in, there should be a clear understanding of just a few things to kind of solidify the onboarding process. Now, there's two different type of things when you have people come on to your business. There is a handbook, right? And then there is onboarding. Now, handbook is totally different, right? I'm gonna show you what a handbook looks like. It's very long because I'm creating a handbook for another client. It's like 50 pages. We're covering safety, we're covering whistleblowing, we're covering everything in the handbook. That is just the policies and the rules, right, of the business. But this is the actual upfront, what you need to know, what you need to remember. Let's kind of put it on the table kind of stuff when we're bringing them in, right? So this is the orientation packet. So this is what you're going to get. So I'm going to make sure that you got this because you were so patient today. So in this orientation packet, we're going to cover the job description, independent contractor statement, non-compete clause, policy, codes of conduct, drug testing consent form, reference request, injury waiver, and general release form. Do you have what it takes, and a training eval? So those are the things that I put everybody through. You see how this needs to be updated. This is horrible since 2018. This is horrible. All right. The job description. So we got the job description page, date of hire, interview date, training. If you want to give them a ref number, job title, the hourly, evaluation date, all of that. Now the customer service and residential cleaning and commercial, the job functions. We go over that, the pulling, pushing, required to work around pets, passing out flyers, promotional material. Now, this is the thing. This promotional material right here, this is big because one of the jobs, my eyes are burning. One of the jobs of the staff is to give out their flyers. They have to give out 8 hours of flyers a month to keep their job. That's required in their employment. They have to help me keep them employed. So there's always a list of areas that they can go to. And there's always flyers on hand, always. But that is a part of their job, to go and put out flyers. So it's inside the job description early on. We talk about all of it in the orientation, because in this orientation, I actually talk it to the clients. I don't just give it to them and then let them fill it out and give it back. I actually let them have it, sit in front of me, excuse me, and I actually, talk to them like I'm talking to you, because I want to explain where I'm coming from. So, because some things take a story, and sometimes you might need to share a story with some of your staff to get them to understand where you're coming from, because you have so many different type of learners. And that's one of the things that I want you to understand. When you have staff working for you, you have to take on a different type of personality when you become a leader of staff. It's not the same. Just when you're by yourself, you can move how you want, be how you want. But when you have staff, you have to be accepting of certain things, because you have different type of learners. You have visual learners, audio learners. People, they consume and move and do things so differently than you may. So you have to kind of let people kind of learn how they need to learn, and then they can adapt a groove, when they're first, starting out. So it helps to have some type of systems for them to follow. Passing out flyers, we let them know. Running errands, we had some clients who was real estate agents that said, hey, I need you to go here, go there, go here, drive me around, help me still sell real estate, and if that was what they needed, that was fine. Again, we were organizing. So if whatever your business is, you can add to this, take away from this, the job description, taking notes, like housekeeping, phone work. Now the phone work and stuff like that is if they were hired for maid services. So maid services are totally different than housekeeping services. We got an independent contractor agreement. Okay. So they're independent contractor. If you are not taking taxes out of their checks, because this is the thing, people like to call these people employees, but then don't want to take taxes out. If you are telling them what to do, giving them a schedule, you training them, they're employees. They should be on a W-2, period. If they are accepting assignments at their own free will and things like that, then they independent contractors. Now, if you're doing independent contractors, which is fine, anything over 500, you got to give them a 1099 at the end of the year. You want to make sure that you have some things in play for yourself and for them. Okay. So in this agreement, it talks about them being an independent contractor from when they start to XYZ. They're working. They're responsible to pay their own taxes and things like that by law. They're working on their affiliates comply instructions, blah, 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 blah. So, and we're not responsible for any injuries due to neglect while working for Clean as Can Be. Now, I specify neglect because I'm not trying to, personally, get over on anybody who is generally hurt. But we do have issues when it comes to people just falsifying information, trying to get paid. So that's why the wording is in there that way. The non-compete clause to me is very essential, that you don't have cleaning professionals that are trying to steal your clients from you. I had a guy one time who was stripping and waxing with our uniform on. It was crazy, and he actually had to give us the money that he made because I was taking him to court and it was crazy. And he has signed this agreement because signing these agreements with your staff kind of lets them know that you are serious. You're not somebody who to be played with because they may feel, okay, you might be a small company, so things can just kind of be, looked over. No, I'm small, but I'm mighty, so you have to just make sure that you have certain things in play, and your non-compete clause is penalty for somebody doing what you do with your clients, selling, or either soliciting your clients in any manner. There's a penalty. So there's something in play for that. And you let them know. Then you go into your policy and it covers attendance. For me, I was on a point system. I really didn't want to go into he said, she said type of stuff. So I was big on a point system when it comes to our attendance. Your availability, letting us know when you're available, letting them know about a dress code, what they had to wear, kind of keeping everything pretty uniform, stuff like that. I'm big on getting paid on Mondays. I'm from Atlantic City, New Jersey. They paid us on Mondays. I'm from the casino city. So you wasn't getting paid on a Friday because you subject not to show up on a Saturday, Sunday. So Mondays was payday. It's always worked out. Love paying on Mondays. However you do it works. The first paycheck, we always took $50 from the first paycheck for uniform deposit because I supply so many shirts and different things along the way. As long as they return stuff when it's over, then they can, have the $50 deposit back. It was just to get a lot of the badge stuff back and stuff that we had gave out. So we put the $50 deposit inside of that. Again, I told you I went on points. I don't like to go on when it comes to the reprimanding part, the he say, she say stuff. If you do everything by points, then you don't have to kind of worry. people know, okay, I was late, it's gonna be a point. Okay, I called out, it's gonna be 2 points. Oh, I did this, it's gonna be, they can kind of keep up with their own points. So it's not gonna even be, well, will she give me, a point, or will she reprimand me, or I wonder who's working tonight. If they already know that everything is about points, when they do the action, they'll already know what the consequence is going to be. So this is how the casinos worked it. I loved it. It was just so kind of really detached, and it works. So I love the point system. We operate with the point system, and it just, whatever works for you though. Raises and bonuses, accepting all assignments. We give you raises and bonuses based on, how you're working. So we put that in there. They have to make sure, again, it's based on points. So we don't have to worry about nobody huffing and puffing about raises and bonuses. If they know that they had points that they accumulated, they're not getting much of anything. We talk about accidents and broken items, because that's a big, 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 to really kind of let the clients know, the employees know that it's okay to report, because we're in a trust business, so I don't want anyone to ever be scared to report breaking stuff. That's why we got insurance. That's why they got insurance, things like that. We talk about the drug test consent form because we got one in our file. That's the only time that we pull it out. We do have them sign one, but it only comes in play is if they slip and fall and then, decide they want to try to sue us, so we have, if they slip and fall, you want to make sure that if they're going to the doctors about it, that they get a drug test consent form, because if they have any kind of drugs in their system, it alleviates you of anything that has happened for the most part. Depending on what the deal is, but for the most part, customer relations, things like that. Office parking, you want to make sure if you have an office where you want your people to park. Customer parking, you want to make sure where you want your people to park. I was adamant about this because if you're doing residential, you don't want I've had a girl park into somebody's driveway. She wasn't supposed to. Her car got stuck, wouldn't start, and stuck in somebody's driveway. You don't want nobody leaking or car oil in somebody's driveway. It's just, you just want to be professional. Went on duty, talking about. So these are policies, because if they don't know what they can and cannot do, they're subject to do anything. So you have to have rules. We talk about no smoking before you going into a customer's property. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? If you smoke outside your car. It's just like pointless to sit in the car and smoke before you going into a property. It's rude. Keys, not taking customer keys, not answering a client's phone, using certain cleaning products properly, doing inventory on your cleaning bin. These are all things that they have to know, that they have to do. Using other clients' vacuums and equipment, from emptying it. And if they don't empty it, actually getting a penalty for not emptying it out, because we do have clients who have amazing $300, $500 vacuums, who are like, here, just use it, because they got pet galore and we're using it, but clean it out, clean it up, put it back, it's just not like just use it and just stick it back, put it back, take care of it. So there's a penalty for that if you're not taking care of someone's stuff. We talk about inclement weather, because where do they go if something happens? Do they still go to work? We let them know 2 hours before, if there's no work, do they go here? Will they get a call? What does that look like? What does training look like, for them? How long will they train? How many hours will they train? If they need more training, is the training going to change? They need to know that. What about if they resign? What does that look like if they're going to resign? Does the pay change if they resign? We were doing like Chick-fil-A. They go back to minimum wage. If you resign, you're no longer allowed back on the property. Your last check is mailed to you. People need to know what the policy is. It's not a guess. What happens if theft? If one of your clients report that there's been theft, what happens then? You know, is there an investigation? You know, is if they say something happened, is you gonna, you know, are you going to press charges with the client? What is going to happen? You know, you should talk to your people about that. You talk to them about confidentiality. Don't say a customer's business. Don't talk about what you see in people's house. Don't tell, you know, you have to tell people, even though you might say, I shouldn't have to tell people that. Yes, you do. So all of these things are in your policy, your codes of conduct, how they show up, always greeting customers with a smile. This is in your standards, right? We talked about a little bit of your standard with your client to your client's standard and your service standard. I mean, your service terms, we're gonna talk about that. This is all connected to that. You know, always greeting with a smile, telling your customer your name, letting them know that you can answer any questions or concerns that they have, always being approachable, things like that. These are things that that your staff needs to know. Never talk on cell phones. Never talk personal business with a customer. You should be seen and not heard in a customer's home. These are things that they need to know, but it has to be in this paperwork for them to remember. Confidentiality is a must. Is a must. So this is all a part of you and your onboarding. When we're doing orientation with someone, it's a 2.5, 3 hour job. They already know orientation is set up. There's quite a few that's going to be there, and you're going to spend about 3 hours with us. We might have a few snacks and pretzels and water and, you know, cookies or whatever, but it's going to be a job because we're going to go through this whole process, all of these documents, codes of conduct and appearance, your shirts, your hair, your hygiene. I mean, you can't go looking like you need to be cleaned up. Your drug test consent form. We're going to read it all the way out, and we're going to have them sign the bottom of it. A reference request. Now, this is the thing about a reference request form. Legally, a company doesn't have to give you anything but the dates of hire. But because it's called killing someone's livelihood. But if they decide to, you know, share information with you about employment and if they're a safe driver and the reason they got laid off and was the person absent rarely, you know, if they want to, you know, say you can send it in and I'll, you know, fill it out, then lucky you, you know. But some employers won't even fill a lot of this stuff out these days. They'll just give you the basic stuff. We got an injury waiver and general release form. So if you're not operating right now with workman's comp, you should have an injury waiver and a general release form for anyone that's working for you. Interns, affiliates, anyone to relieve you of things like these kind of slips and falls and you know, things that just happen. So you need to have these kind of agreements signed. And now we have this at the end called Cleaners Could Be Wants to Know You. And this is just me asking some questions to the person, trying to get a little bit of information. You know, I see here, you see I asked, can they lift a certain, you know, pounds? Then I asked, do they have any back problems? This kind of, I like to know early on. So if something is said later on, they told me early on that they had back problems. Number 3 is kind of where I just want to see if there's somebody who pays attention, because it says on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the dirtiest, 10 being 1 being the cleanest, 10 being the dirtiest. So most people will put 10 automatically because they assume and think 10 is just the grand poobah, not really reading this. And cleaning is about detail. It's about having an eye for detail. So it kind of catches them up if I kind of bring it to their attention if they didn't read this, because I need them to have an eye for detail. So we laugh about it, but it's real. It's real. So we go through it. We find out here who can relocate, who's a tidy person, who's willing to be your supervisor, you know, who's ever been accused of theft. We find out a little thing, you know, a few things about the person here. They've ever, you know, how long they lived where they lived. Have they ever been fired? You know, are they willing to travel? Things like that. So just have some questions here so you can kind of see the future in that person, and, you know, if there's any additional positions that you can put them in down the line or something like that. Then we have training. Now, in the training aspect of it, this is your training evaluation sheet. I kind of look at them on a lot of different levels, not only cleaning, on the customer service, on the way that they dust and clean, they do their baseboards, ceiling fans. And why I say ceiling fans is because it's one of those things that, if it's not even really how you clean it, it's the fact that if you'll miss it. You know, if I go to a couple of jobs and I realize that you didn't look up, you know, it's kind of one of those things on my radar, you know, that you're like, I need you to look up. I need you to look up. I need you to look up. So mopping bathrooms, kitchens, living rooms, appliances, laundry, your inspection of your work, passing out flyers, and record keeping. Now, one of the things that you may have in play for your people, when you really kind of say, you know what, I don't want to take a chance on how they do the job for me. And I just want to make sure that everything gets done, is by having a checklist for your cleaning people. So whether it's residential or commercial, you should have a checklist. And that's, again, it's like policy. So in case somebody's head is not in the game, and not in, like, their mind is not really into it for this day, they still have something that they've brought to the table, which is the instruction that you gave them. So they can have a horrible day, maybe they got into a fight with a family member, whatever the case may be, they can still show up in excellence because you gave them a guide to follow. So all of our cleaners, whether it be commercial or residential, they have a cleaning checklist. So I couldn't find our commercial one online, but I have our residential one here for our residential cleaners. So when they get ready to go into a home, at the very bottom is checklist. It always has the reps' names. It has, they put their time in, time out, their initials, and who picked up the paycheck. Because in the residential homes, there's always money left. So we need to know who picked it up, and then the average hours. So even though they're signing in, signing out, every home will already have how many hours they should spend on it. So the hours will already be written in the beginning by a supervisor. Now, this form is all ones, and then this is one person, this is two person, and this is the walkthrough. So they're doing the bathroom, all dusting, windows, mirrors, showers. Again, this is just a checklist. So they can just go through everything here, be done. They can go to the kitchen, cabinets, inside the microwave, blah, 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 backsplashes, da, 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 clean the sink, empty trash, dust the ceiling for cobwebs, blah, blah, blah. They can do the bedroom, then they can do all the other rooms. And this is all just checked. That's all they're doing, you know. And then one person is just checking behind the other, because it's always good to get two set of eyes, you know, on something when it comes to doing walkthroughs. But this is a part of your business's protocol, because you don't want it to be, well, when Brenda comes, it's like this, but when Kim comes, it's like this. You know, you have to have standard operating, you know, where we're all doing the same thing, it's working the same way, you know, that's how we're doing it, right? So that's something that you gotta remember to do. And I want you to use Google. I mean, Google Drive is fire. I use them for my invoices as well. A lot of my commercial contracts, because I'm billing the same people over and over. So because you can print this out or whatever. So I use it, save it as a PDF, send it to the client, and be done. And they do all the calculation and everything. And this is the invoice that I took from them. So I just fill it in every month, you know, as to what is it going to be. And again, we still got terms. Make checks payable to the business. If you have any questions or concerning the invoice, contact the manager at blah, blah, blah. Your email is here. It has our mailing address, the manager's name, P.O. Box, and thank you. There's still terms and conditions on everything. Our regular quote forms that we use when we go out to someone's home has terms and conditions on the quote, and we have yellow carbon copies on the back, and we have you sign them even to get the quote from us, because on there it guarantees in case of not a bad check, in case you were late with payment, you automatically agree to our terms and conditions when you even have us come out and do a walkthrough for a quote, because we have you sign the quote and we leave you with the quote. That's the only way you get it, is if you sign it. So policy is very important. Very, 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 very important. Okay. This is like policy, for instance, for the end of for residential. If you have a residential, hold on. And let me know if you have any questions. I know I'm giving you a lot of information. Do you have any questions? Because I know I'm giving a lot of information. All right. So we talked about the departments. We talked about standard operating procedures. We talked about affiliates. We're on human resources. That's where we're at right now. So we're actually looking at the onboarding process right now. That's what we're doing right now. We actually just got finished looking at an entire handbook. The cleanest can be handbook, because I'm gonna make sure that you get that, so then you can alter that that handbook as well. But one of the things that I want you to look at is still a part of policy, and this is outside of a handbook, because a handbook is one thing. Again, that was just us telling the person, what our terms is, what our conditions is, all that kind of stuff. But it's really not actually the actual handbook for the in-house policy. So I'm just going to just talk about some of just the headings of what would be in the actual handbook, right? If we had to even talk about an employee handbook, because we're not even talking in-house, we just talking about employee, from customer relations we talked about uniform, to diversity, conflicts of interest, non-disclosure. We talked about whistleblower policy. They say we talked about employment categories, training, job description, vacation pay, religious observance, professional development, health insurance, life insurance, maternity leave, timekeeping, payday schedule. But we talked about that inside the orientation packet. Work schedules, overtime, absence policy. This is visitors in the workspace, workplace violence prevention, sexual and other unlawful harassment, attendance and punctuality, personal appearance, sleeping at work, cell phone use, no smoking and vape policy, drug and alcohol policy, cannabis use, return of property, employee-client boundaries, workplace safety, new employee job safety. All of these is a part of a handbook. So this is not even a part of just the onboarding. This is the back end stuff that as a business we're supposed to have, right? And you're like, oh my God, it's like, yeah, as a business, we're supposed to make sure that we have certain things in play for, or at least say, even if we're saying we're not responsible, then we need to say in somewhere in writing that we're not responsible, you know, or that we are responsible, or we're going to participate, or we're going to do, or we're, you know, whatever that looks like, we have to make sure that we put that in play. That's the thing about policy. You got to make sure that it's in writing. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about payroll. We talk a lot about human resources. Only thing I really want you to dig on is on payroll is to make sure that you have a good pay system. Whether you're going to do a QuickBooks and you're going to do your own payroll, or you're going to do like ADP and you're going to have them do your payroll. And they have a manual platform because we offer ADP, and they have actually 3 months for free on our website, on Business 911's website. And you can actually get 3 months for free, but you can actually do W-2s and they'll just, you know, send you the checks, or you can actually get direct deposit, but you want a paper trail. One of the things about when it comes to doing payroll, if you are just writing checks to staff, it's just considered an expense when it comes to your write-offs at the end of the year. It is not considered payroll unless FICA, Medicare, Medicaid, and unemployment taxes are coming out. If they are not, those type of things are not getting taxed out of that money, it's just considered an expense. It is not considered payroll at all. So we need to be set up on a payroll system if you are going to bring staff on, or if you're just going to start out. And actually, thing about this is you can afford to pay for staff. Do not think that you can't afford to pay for staff. You should be charging enough money to pay for staff. It's not raise your prices once you want to bring on staff. You should be charging enough money to pay for staff. Always think about what the hourly rate would be, and always make your prices around what it would charge for manpower, because that is at the end of the day what it boils down to, what manpower will cost to run your business. So you want to make sure that you know what those numbers look like. That's why it's very important to have these procedures in play, to have accounting in play, to know what these numbers look like, you know, to know what manpower costs, you know, to know how much extra in that job are you making, to know what profit looks like. You know, if you don't have things set up, then you won't know. So when you want to do payroll, set yourself up on a payroll system, even if it's on a cheap system, or if nothing else, make sure you put yourself on something where you're keeping very good notes about what you're doing. So let's talk about client forms really quickly. Terms covering payment. Make sure you get paid. So let's talk about invoicing. So we just looked at our invoice just now as some of the terms that was on that, but there's some extra stuff. So say for instance that you had to, you signed up somebody on a commercial space, and now you have to do contracts. Now, when I'm pricing contracts, I also make sure I got 3 prices, because I want them to stay with me for a long time. So I'll give them a really fat price, you know what I'm saying, for 1 year, and then I'll give them a smaller price for 2 years, and an even smaller price for 3 years. So now once they sign up with me, my commercial people, this is some of our terms in my agreement. So we talk about complaints, and in our complaints, you know, they have certain days, 2 days, they can let me know what's going on, because you have to give people enough time to fix things. They might say, well, you know, your cleaner didn't do XYZ in the bathroom, and your person didn't do this. Excuse me, your person didn't do that. So whatever that looks like, if they're having any complaints, you don't want them to have any complaints, but if they have some, you want to know what those, you know, what that looks like to actually remedying those complaints. A suspension of services. You know, what does that look like if they needed to cancel services, if for whatever reason, you know, how does that work? Do they need, how much notice will they need to give you? And this is on the commercial side. You know, how much notice will they need to give you to cancel services? Termination, you know, say they wanted to cancel altogether. You know, either party can cancel the contract, but they have to give at least 2 months based on this, you know, and what would be the protocol. So there has to be some protocol. You know, I remember joining in with one client one time who had to wait and finish out like 4 more months, 6 months with a client because he was under contract. And he was just like, look, I can't leave. And then we got them right after it was over. So it just depends, what the contract is under, what the rules, and this is whatever you put. So we only put 2 months, but whatever you say it is what it is, so you have to just remember that. Confidentiality, where we let them know that, we're going to be confident, we're going to be private about everything. The contract terms, what our services are. We talk about our cleaners, the contract period. And see, now with us, this is how we do. So with us, our initial period could be for 6 months, right? And then at the end, if they have 60 days to actually bring it to an end. If they don't bring it to an end, it automatically goes into a 3-year contract. So depending on what you want to do is up to you. Big businesses are locked into 3, 5, 10-year contracts. They don't do month to month and year to years. So I like to be locked in with them. So I make our contracts very long. And if you don't say I want to only do a year, then you're automatically locked into a 3-year contract after your 6 months or your year. We normally do a year. This was for someone else. But yeah, lock them in. Access to keys. You talk about that, any security codes or whatever, it's confidential. Charges or payments. You talk about if they in arrears or when you want your money due, or if there's any additional charges that you're going to charge them for not paying you on time and things like that. Or if you have to cancel the appointment, that they have, what kind of notice do they have to give you? 2 working days. And if not, they have to pay 50%, or if it's the same day, they got to pay 100%. So you got to have rules. So when I have rules and my clients, they cancel, and I'm looking at them saying I want 100% of my money, they're not looking at me sideways because it was in the policy when you started. It's not like, well, I'm not paying that. Please understand that this is the policy. This is our terms and our conditions. So this is for your contract. This is for your commercial. And then now we have for residential. So residential's policy is a lot more, hold on. So residential's policy, I had it on, I thought I had it up there. Oh, got it. All right, so residential's policy is a lot more, loose. You got your one-time customers. Our one-time customers, they have to accept policy and terms. If you're doing flat rate, we only keep you at the same rate for 38 days. They can't have the same rate for 45 days and 2 months. It's just too long for me to give you that same price and your house is twice as dirty. So we talk about that. We talk about cancellations. We got a little policy in that space. We talk about cancellations if you're hourly. So we got people who are flat rate and we got people who are hourly. So they all have different fees. And we got cancellations policies for both of them. Inclement weather information. We talk about payment, non-sufficient funds, how you're billed after 15 minutes. One-time customers, if you're a first-time client and we don't know you, we want cash, we talk about that. We got an OSHA policy, because you might have people who are diabetics and different things. We need to know if you have needles in trash cans that we need to be worrying about getting stuck by and stuff like that. So we need to know what's going on. So we have to know about that. We need to know about your security alarms in the home. They have to be off in the unarmed position. Customer service, if we've missed anything, we got 48 hours. We'll come within that time, we'll come back out there and we'll re-clean it. So that's a part of our policy. Laundry services, we're not responsible for damage to clothes due to iron, because we do have clients who use laundry services. But if you got a messed up iron, that is not our fault. Online payments, they're subject to a processing fee, and it varies based on the price, and it's non-refundable on all purchases. Responsibility for damage when using supplies is requested by clients, reserves the right to subcontract our work. So this is the thing, because we use carpet guys and other people. Remember, we was talking about affiliates. We have it in our policy that we reserve the right to subcontract out people. Appliances, we're not responsible for damage to your appliances. Home security, we're not responsible. This is the thing, we're not responsible for the home left unlocked, because sometimes we leave, pool guys are there, plumbers are there, all that kind of stuff. We're not responsible for that. Phones and doors, your gift certificates that you purchase. Some people have valuables and stuff. We tell them to put them away, heirlooms and stuff. And then the fact that our after-hour rates may be slightly higher. So this is actually something that you can either get your clients to sign, put it on your website. When we first started out, we had our clients sign this. It now, as we, as the years progress, it's just on the site. But when we first started, because people were so finicky about paying a lot of the extra fees, we had them sign it, and we gave you a copy of it in a folder so that you also had a copy of what you signed, because it has a sign and it has a sign and initial, especially when it comes to payment. Because when it came to those fees, we were on it, because we were going to bill you anytime that we had to bill you. So you want to make sure that you are able to do that, when the time comes, and you have the documents that you need. Now, when it came to staff, and this is about, I'm gonna kind of close this out, it was about the training. So these documents, and I haven't put them together, we're going to put them together in a book, was all training. Let me show you these documents. So when they first get hired and they go through training, we talk about what goes in the cleaning bin. We go over kind of what the supplies are for them. Let me see if it'll give me. Right, okay. We talk about the beginning of the day, what their attire looks like, no pocketbooks, things like that. We kind of go into what's expected of them and their supplies and stuff, even down to the method of how they should be cleaning, in the G mode, because that was kind of like the way, we got it done. Even if you had your own way of doing things, if you weren't, you didn't have a way and you needed a way, we had a method, so having a method to be able to train your staff is very important to having to delivering the same type of a service. So we talked about dusting in all the rooms, and this is what you would consider an SOP. This was an SOP for a cleaning person. But when they went on to a job, what they had to do, the next step, from dusting, to leather furniture, to glass items, anything that had to, they had to come across in this job, it was telling them exactly, for the most part, what they needed to do with it. Hold on. Like your bedroom, all your linens, no linens left out, dust all your head picks, blah, 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 your floors. It was giving you information, of what the extras was, always spray on a rag. It's about 8 pages. I think it's like 8 or 10 pages. But this is stuff that we went through in the training, always in the training, because you can't assume that they knew. So you can't just, you always had to have some type of training. Again, this is part of policy. Policy is everything, and it's a part of us being in business. So service and terms. Think about your terms of service. You got to have terms of service for your business. That goes to everything that they've purchased. What kind of liabilities, like what are you responsible for? That's what we talked about. When it came down to ironing, we're not responsible for your iron. We're not responsible for your dishwasher. You should have all of that in your terms of service. If you're saying, okay, we're only going to give you, when I let you reschedule, I'll let you reschedule a canceled service up to 3 days with no penalty. That's part of my terms of service. You know what I'm saying? All of it's in our cancellation policy. So you have to know what the expectation of is from your client. And we talked about your contracts, from them being locked in, to a discounted rate. How long is that? What's the terms on the rate? Will the rate change? What happens if they cancel? Is it a penalty? Especially the ones that are on the contract, because we have clients that are on contract, but if they're on a contract for a year, 6 months, especially your residential clients, one of the things that we have them provide is a canceled check, because there needs to be some type of recourse if they cancel. So we need to be able to bill something and not just be able to send a bill out and saying you owe us. So it kind of, helps with that process. But it again, it's in your terms and in your contract that we're allowed to bill this account, blah, 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 or we're allowed to, send you a bill. You have to know what the rules are, because that's exactly what terms are. They're the rules, right? So any questions? Do you have any questions? Good over there?
Sorry, I didn't know that I was on mute. I'm so sorry. I was asking you that I know that you have talked in the past about a DBA and LLC.
Okay.
I honestly don't know the difference about a DBA. If that's the first time, honestly, I've heard about it. So I didn't
Okay.
know in my case, since I'm kind of getting started, what would be recommended in my case, because I'm actually in the process of doing that. I would love to get into commercial, but I don't know anything about it, yet. I'm still trying to study. I'm more residential still. So
Okay.
that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. So, well, the LLC, okay, so your LLC, so you're a sole proprietor right now, no entity at all?
Right.
Okay. So you really just want the LLC as protection. That's the only thing that's going to really separate you from the business, where you're able to build business credit. Somebody, because you can get a check in the business name, but your check will say Rosa Reyes doing business as XYZ Cleaning. Versus if you got an entity, the check would just say XYZ Cleaning, right? So
Okay.
now, depending, what state are you in?
Texas.
Okay. Whew, Texas is expensive.
It
So,
is.
so, well, okay. So one of the things about it is you pay, but this is the thing about it. It all depends on if you say, I'm going to pay, when you look at it as one fee, one time, it's expensive. But if you say, okay, I'm going to break it up into monthly fees, it's not. It's like $70 a month, $800 a year, whatever. But the LLC is what's going to help you get funding. When it comes to getting funding, your entity. When it comes to building business credit, you can't build a business credit for a sole proprietor. You can build business credit for an entity, LLC or incorporation. So that's the benefit of that. A DBA is really what you are now. You are a sole proprietor. Only thing that you didn't do that probably didn't make you an actual DBA is actually register the name with the Register of Deeds office in your city. because that's the only difference. A DBA lets you operate in another name other than your business without having to get a whole LLC. So I tell people, if you do multiple businesses or have different gifts, or you're going to do a lot of different things, instead of you getting a whole bunch of LLCs, create an umbrella. So if I knew that I had different things, maybe I want to do a shirt company, maybe I want to do some consulting, maybe I want to do some cleaning on the side, maybe I want to do making some plates, then I might do Reyes Enterprises, and then I do a DBA Reyes Cleaning, Reyes Plates and stuff, Rose's T-shirts. All of those would be DBAs for the big, just Reyes
For the
Enterprises.
braids, right,
You know what
right.
I mean? Because I don't want to get LLCs for everything, but you only want to get the LLC for something that has a risk, like something where something can go wrong, and it could take the whole house down. Then it needs to have an LLC. So if you're selling food, then I would say yes, because somebody can get sick.
Right.
But if you're just doing consulting, even if you're in the cleaning, it's not too much of a risk. But if it's like truck driving, something like that, then yes. If you just got one risk under it, then you could just keep it, as a DBA, with the rest of them. But that's only if you want to have multiple businesses or multiple things going on. And
So
you
a
don't.
DBA sounds pretty fair then. It's what I'm understanding, at least for residential myself right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then you don't ever have to change your name when you change what you do. If you go residential then commercial, you can still keep same name, same thing. All of it's still under the same name. So
Right.
just make sure that your name still is your brand.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Right.
What you're doing. I started off residential, and then I broke into move in, move outs, and then went into commercial, because move in, move outs is your right now money. And then it allows you to help you pick up staff a little bit, because you can test the waters. You can say, okay, well, I really don't know about this person's background, because I always made people get a criminal check from the city hall.
Right.
And only thing I'm looking for is larceny and theft. I didn't care nothing about nothing else. I just didn't want a thief working for me. So once we get the background in check, but if they didn't have the money, then we could do a move in, move out. Move in, move out, so nobody's in there. You don't have to worry about them stealing anything.
Right. Right.
Want to training them, because
That's
nobody,
perfect. Right. Right. They're
so
empty.
it's a lot easier for you to kind of really kind of see who you're working with and train them at the same time in the move in, move out. So I did a lot of move outs. Whenever I'm ready to hire new hires, I always do a lot of promoting for move in, move outs, whether I'm doing apartment complexes, management companies, Craigslist, Facebook. I'm promoting a $200 special, whatever it is because I'm about to bring on new hires.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's good to know.
And it's just easier for me to on them there than in somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? In somebody's stuff.
Right.
And I don't
Right.
want the client to know that they're new too. You know what I'm saying? So it
Right.
just both ways if I do it that way.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that tip. And payroll wise, since I am starting to probably get some more help, I didn't know what you recommended as in payroll wise. Right now, what we do is in the books. Like I'm talking about manual books right now. This is just for like 3 or 4 people at the most that I have. Is there a system that or recommend, at least for me, that I'm starting, so that I can kind of keep track of our budget, our expenses, and like payroll? I don't know if that's such a thing.
So are you using QuickBooks?
I'm not. Is that what you recommend?
Yeah, QuickBooks is going to be your best friend. They're going to
QuickBooks?
they're going to be what helps you at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
bring it all together, do your reporting. They're going to help you with your, you can do manual payroll or have them do your payroll. They're going to be everything.
Pretty handy. Yeah, on everything, right? Okay.
And
So I've heard about Paychex, but I didn't know how that worked. But
Paychex is the payroll system. So you got 2 things. You got QuickBooks, who helps you with all of the budgeting and accounting and putting it all together. And then you got Paychecks, who is just the payroll system, and that's it.
Okay, okay.
So, but they want, because they don't have nothing to do with you keeping your books in order.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
deal with payroll. So if
Okay.
you keep your books in order and your bank account straight and your all of that, then you want to do payroll too, then you want QuickBooks, because it's going to help you with all of it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, because I need something that can help me keep track of accountability, you know, like money that comes in, money that needs to be put apart for like supplies,
That's exactly
gas, cars.
what it does. That's exactly
Okay, okay. And then from there it's like, okay, well, what does the ladies make, you know, the girls and my pay too, you know, like just something that can help me out with that, just to kind of figure out how to do this. Okay.
yeah.
And I know that you sell forms. And is there a packet that you have? I definitely need guidance, and I'm following your videos. I really am. You have been a very big motivator to me, to myself. You know, I left my job for it. So I'm really trying to focus this 100+%, you know, like seriously. So I admire your guidance, seriously. So I just didn't know if there was something like that you had where, you know, I do have my own website, I do have my own Facebook starting it. I'm starting to do a little marketing on it, you know, Instagram. I'm just trying to get more in Google. So the insurance, what is it called? The sponsoring from Google. They give you, I think, leads or something. I'm in the process of getting that so I can get more calls as
Okay.
well. So, but since I'm getting more busier, I want to know, like you said, you know, I want to be more prepared with like, oh, you know, cancellation policies, clients canceling last minute. If you skip me a week or two extra, you know, it's extra. You know, I just want to have that in writing, like you mentioned. So that's a big help to have, so I can have guidance, because people do that, you know, like, oh, you know, I don't need cleaning this week. Sorry, let's just do the following cleaning. Oh, well, it's extra. It's not, I don't have it in written form where I can say, I actually know something to protect me, you know, say, well, look, it's in the policy I've sent you, there it is, read it, or, you know,
Right.
because I'm starting, I don't let that happen, but it's like, it helps a lot because you set schedules for people to clean. And then when you have cancellations and you have those open, you know,
Right.
spots, and
Right.
it kills me. Yeah. And it slows me down too. So that's
Right.
a good thing. But
And
and I saw that on your website, um the, what is it called? Where you have like documents where you can purchase, right? Or something like that. Like a
mhm,
bundle. Yeah. So I can have guidance. Is
yes.
that the best way to do that? Or I know you're doing classes too, so your classes are really, really informative as well.
Yep. I'll email you. I'll email you the link to that.
Okay.
Yep. I'll email you and I'll email you the QuickBooks stuff too.
Oh,
Um,
thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm writing my notes in here.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so the DBA that helps me out a lot. So I'm definitely gonna get that registered for sure. Because right now I'm like a sole proprietor. I guess the DBA will be recommended in my case, at least for now. Um,
Well, well, what's the plan though? Is the
I,
plan?
I I'm starting to slowly get into commercial. I'm very familiarized with residential cleaning. That's been our thing. But we were doing it as a side hustle, you know, thing. I still had my job, but I want to do it. You know, I left my job as I had a daughter, so I want to focus on this 100+% now. You know, like actually do this right. So that's why I was asking you about the, you know,
I see.
LLC.
That's the thing about it is, as long as you are playing around as a side hustle, you as a sole proprietor is fine. If you're going
Right.
to step over into commercial, you need to be an entity. You
And
need
and,
to be
and
a corporation, because if
right.
not, you're going to have to put your they're going to want to pay somebody, and they're going to ask you for your social and put y'all. You know, they're going to. It's
Mm-hmm.
too much. You
Mm-hmm.
want to just
Mm-hmm.
let them pay the business, do the business stuff, and call it a day and kind of leave you out of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So it would definitely be better to go ahead and get that. Have a
Okay.
plan of a money goal that you need to make. You know what I'm saying? Say if you say,
Mm-hmm.
I need to make a just certain amount every month, and to try to get, because you can really make the money off of social media. You know, real talk, that money is there for you
Right.
to really make it on social media. When it comes
Uh-huh.
move outs, the general cleaning, the residential, even down to selling hours. I really made the most of my money doing hourly. Flat
Hourly.
rate is good depending on the area, because you got two customers. You don't
Mm.
have one way type of selling. You got One client who is a bigger home, country club home, 4,000 square feet, whatever the case, they already know they're going to get cleaning. They already have it in their budget. They just need you to give them a price that works. It's the
Mm-hmm.
price every week. That's it. Then you have the person who needs this, but they can barely afford it, but it's never going to be the same. So
Mm.
that's your hourly. So I would sell like 3 hours for $150. Our going rate is about $50 an hour. So I sell 3 hours at $150 an hour. If I did a special, it might be $125, something like that. Now with
Mm-hmm.
3 hours, you can move me around how you want to. A new
Right.
might can even get them 3 hours for $100. And that's where if I'm training people, I do 3 hours at $100.
Because you're
Somebody
training. Right.
easy with $100. They don't worry about trying me out with $100 at for $100. So and then they say, okay, well, what can I get done with $100? Well, I tell you what, most people get done the things they don't like to do: bathrooms and the kitchen. So they can get the bathrooms and the floors and stuff knocked out. So let me come in and see what you got going on. I tell you what you can get done, and then
Mm-hmm.
we get that done. And if I have extra time, I'll do XYZ. They
Mm.
like that because they can move me around. They can say, okay, well, can you fold those clothes? Little Billy, he didn't come this week. You don't have to worry about his room. Can you wipe out that, can you just mop that hallway and get that kitchen? They can move you how they want, and they like that. So
Okay.
they're doing it based on time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a flat rate and they say, well, hey, can you wipe out the refrigerator? I gotta charge you $45. If
Yeah,
they
that's always extra.
wipe
Yeah.
windows, I'm charging you $6 to $9 a window because I charge a la carte anything outside of that general flat rate.
Okay. Right. Okay. Okay.
So it kind of helps you make more money off the
Okay.
client when you offer some of the hourly. And then you kind of in the marketing let them know what they can do with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I tell them,
Yeah.
give me, what can I do with this time? Get me to organize your closet. Get me to fold those clothes you don't want to fold. Get me to
Mm.
baseboards that you don't want.
Sure.
Get me to do your windows. I kind of throw some things out there and they're like, yeah, because I don't want to do that. Let me throw this $100 out here real fast.
Right. Okay. No,
So
that's good to know. No, that's good to know. Thank you. Thank you for that. Because we do flat rates most of them. And then we charge extra for like, fridge, ovens, things that are extra, baseboards, window washing. That's all extra. But I
now,
do more flat rates.
market those, but do you market those outside of them asking for it?
When we do initials, yeah, I usually do. I bring it in. It's like, hey, well, window washing, interior windows are included. And they're like, oh, do you do the exterior? It's like, well, yeah, at an extra fee. And then they're like, when they ask, but we do it. We're just more not like two-story house, type of thing.
You should send out regular emails of all your services. So whether
To the
you
clients.
do
Hmm.
Tuesdays and you send out stuff that just appliance cleaning, and you send out stuff that just says get your windows cleaning around springtime, and you send out stuff that just
It's
says
reminders. Hmm.
because those are still those upsells.
Hmm.
Get the more money out of them in the mid throughout the year. We do filter changes that can bring you in $1,000 a month just doing filter changes.
Really?
Because that's
Wow.
you got people who are either wanting to save on their utility bill, and that's the last thing they think about. And filters are like $3, $2 a filter,
Uh-huh.
air conditioning filters, or people who are asthmatic and they really
Wow.
get those things done.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
$25 to $35 to change them, and they're $3 a pop.
It's extra money. Yeah. It's extra money. Oh wow. Okay. Oh, you do everything. That's good. No, that's good. Yeah.
Gotta know what you sell. You
Yeah, no, no. Well, I mean, like you said, you have subcontractors and affiliates. So, I mean, that's something that people always ask, like, hey, do you know someone that paints? Hey, do you have someone that can do yard work? Is there someone that you recommend? They're always asking. And you're like, well, yeah, I have people, I give you numbers, but I guess it makes an idea. I mean, it makes sense, to do like, oh, well, yeah, I can probably hire someone and then they can do the work and I'll just pay them.
right.
That was actually something that I've learned right now with you today, the affiliates, because I have a lot of those, a lot of them. They always ask, and they go based on your word of mouth. Like, how do they work? you know. So,
Right.
and you said you do what, 30% of what they normally charge? Do you put the prices for that?
Well, I tell them they can put what they want. They can put their own prices as long as I get my 30%. So even if they were 120 and
You get your 30%.
180 because they got to put my extra, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? As long as I get my, my money out of it, but it needs to be 30% of whatever they charged.
Oh wow, okay. And then you have to see like their contract or the paperwork or payment or
They
whatever
can,
they did.
they can give me, so I keep up with the client.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the client be then made the check out to us, and even
Okay.
though we pay them, very few times the client will pay them the money, and if they do, that's fine. They have up to 7 days to pay me my 30%.
Your 30%.
Yes, within our 7 days, that's fine, but we'll never do business with them again.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
I'm not out of money, but they're just out of a connection. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right.
They just have 7 days. If they don't, provide the payment, then we just we won't send them any more business.
I see what you're saying. But you have to have that on your insurance if you're gonna do subcontract, or I guess something to protect you,
Well,
or
I asked them for the 30% and have them. I honestly don't contact the insurance company. We probably should. We just don't. We
you
just,
just don't do it. Right, right. I mean, I know it's usually some one like one-time job type of thing. Maybe we're, I
right.
get it. Yeah. Okay, okay.
But we
That's
just do it because they don't
Well, I
have.
mean, it's because it made sense when you said that you had a person that was working under your, your shirt, your logo, your information, and he wasn't. And I mean, that's something that can happen. I can give him something and say, hey, they're working under my name.
He went. The lady. We went to work, and the lady said the job was great that we had did stripping and waxing. She called about.
Uh-huh.
So instead of me, like what are you talking about? I played dumb, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want her to know that I didn't know what the hell was going on. And
Right.
I found out he did it. This is the thing. He came in on his day off to pick his check up with the shirt on. And he said he was doing some marketing. That was the only thing that he could throw on was the shirt. He was going there to do the job. And then when I asked him about it, I said, well, why didn't you just tell us? Because you could have did the job through us. Because it was stripping and waxing, it wasn't a primary job that we did. You know what I mean? And he
Right.
paid the money. He said, oh, I didn't know that you did it, but you knew it enough to wear the uniform when you did it. So you
Right.
know that we did it. So I'm like, we can either do this one way or the other. We can either go to court about it, or you can either pay me what you made off of it. So he knew what he signed, and I pulled that paperwork out on him. He just gave me the money and went about his business. So yeah,
No.
it's thing. Like even with the neglect, like with the accidents and stuff, we have a policy in that human resources. Like if they break something, some of them think they will get fired. I'm not going to fire you because if you break something by neglect, then I have a $500 deductible. You're paying that deductible to me out of your check. I'm not paying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We pay 25 a week. So no, I'm not going to fire you. I need to get my money out of you now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
I mean, I guess that's the only risk, right? Is those little things that could happen, right? Uh,
like I had the rule is never spray on the surface, spray on the rag. I had girls take the Clorox cleanup. We don't use it anymore. She sprayed all over the toilet, and it seeped down into the toilet where you could see the white
the
from
the whites, yeah, yeah.
place the toilet. The same one, maybe 2 weeks prior to that, week before that, I guess it was, or is it after that? And one of the guys, he used the Clorox cleanup, didn't have the nozzle tight. So when he put it up on a dresser, it hit the floor, bleached the carpet, bleached the bedspread. It was right in front of a bathroom. I had to replace carpet, everything.
Oh
I had a
no.
lady who
Yeah.
sprayed on a wall because the light switch in the wall was dirty. Instead of spraying on the rag, she sprayed on the wall. I had to repaint a whole wall.
Oh
And
my gosh.
so when you put your business in other people's hands, you gotta like fingers
Yeah, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. It's scary, yeah.
closed, but without constant training, and that's how a lot of policy even come in play because of the accidents that has happened.
No,
So
you learn from the mistakes. Yeah.
heard that now you almost sign your life away coming to work for me because of the things
Right.
that
No,
and
right, right.
make sure that I'm covered. So
You learn by it. I totally get it. You're right. Yeah, it
so
makes sense. Okay.
but yeah, because they can make or break your business. Staff can make or break your business. And we're in a service industry.
Right,
And
right.
like deliver 150% every time.
Mm,
Every, and so it has to be a standard that they have to follow. Because if not, I've gotten the words where I feel like I'm just a slave and it's a lot, and But so if you don't make it the standard, that they just happen to repeat the standard, it feels like it's just a lot of work. And it's not, it's just the standard. So if the checklist requires 96 checks, then it's just 96 checks. You got to go all 96 checks. That's just
right.
what the standard is, versus you just saying do 96 things. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? So you got to kind of, look at it for what it is, and really make it a standard and write it down. This is what's required. Yes, you got to go back and do this. Yes, you got to go back and do. And one of the things with my staff, I had to be okay in the beginning with letting them learn first, because I used to want them to rush through stuff like I did. But when somebody's trying to get it right, they're taking their time. And then once they get it, then they build speed and momentum. But when they're trying to get it right first, they're taking their time. So I had to kind of adjust to that. And I learned early on I'm not a trainer. So that's why I built the training system and got somebody else to do it. Because I used to be like, well, come on. Because I'm used to going through it. And people, when they're learning stuff, they're taking their time because they want to get it right. And then once they get it right, then they'll build momentum. So you have to have systems for them to follow, because I didn't want to say it 12 times, but I didn't mind if they needed to read it 12 times.
right. Oh, did I lose you?
Mm-hmm. I'm
Okay,
here.
no, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. I was, for some reason I clicked something and I lost your face, but I'm here. Okay. No, no, thank you so much for that information. I'm looking forward to kind of going to your website and see if I can download some forms, or just, and if you don't mind sending me those information by the email like you mentioned, and I will definitely see what I need in return. And if there's any other tutorials that you offer, I'll be there for sure.
Yep, and I'll get this recording to you as well. Let's see what else. Make sure we got.
So I think you have another class, if I'm not mistaken, that's about how to charge, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I got quite a few that's coming up. Let's see. I'm going to open the registration for the university. It's just a lot of different kind of classes. So we got the pricing, pricing for commercial, pricing for residential. I'm going to give you the orientation packet. So that's exactly what the Hustling to Hiring is. And then the marketing year round is actually me actually showing how to sell and the services to stay busy all through the year, residential wise or commercial. So remember, I was talking about the filters, this, that. I mean, how to stay busy 12 months out of the year.
Yeah, yeah.
In either one. So that's what that is.
I'll sign up for that.
Okay. And you're in the Cleaning Business group. So go in there too and make sure that you use the promo code that's featured. It gives you half off the class.
When I sign up?
Yep, I'll put it in your email too. Try to remember to put it in your email. Promo code.
So when I buy the ticket, okay. So put the promo code.
Like when you like this. So let's say if you buy can you see my screen?
I am now, yes.
You buy the ticket, and say if I bought this ticket and I checked out, and then right here in the coupon space, because it's actually T for the Cleaning Business Group, and then it's Learn 50. So it's TCBG Learn 50. And see how I took that half off of that?
Okay.
It gives you half off of all the classes.
So is that the code that I need to save?
Yes, it'll give you half off of all the classes whenever you sign up for the classes or any of the stuff on there.
Okay. Let me get the, just write that down. Okay.
Yeah, but you'll also have it in the recording too, so.
Oh, right. Thank you. Right. I'll send it for your next one too. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Shay. I appreciate your help.
Thank you, and it's been a pleasure, and I hope you got a lot out of this today.
No, I did. It's a lot of learning, a lot of stuff to do in case you hire people. So I need to definitely keep on track of that.
But I'll send
Definitely.
you free downloads as well. So I
Okay.
did get some good little nuggets.
No.
So give
Okay.
me 24 hours. I got you covered.
Thank you so much, Shay. I appreciate it. And I'll be seeing you in your next courses for sure. Okay?
Good night.
Have a good night. Thanks.